We've talked about several things. Mr. Garvey, UNIA, racial pride, racial self-determination, universal African nationalism, Agenda 2063. I want to close by telling you a true story and then giving you a call to action. Our story begins with a man named Isaiah Emmanuel Mortar. And this was a great man, an industrious man, a self-made man. Born in 1860, he made his fortune in his homeland of Belize, farming coconuts and bananas. He owned many plantations and even a private island. In fact, he was Belize's first African millionaire, even though it was under British colonial rule at the time. Even today, there's a statue of him in the center of Belize City. You can check it out yourself. For health reasons, he came to the United States in the early 1920s, where he stayed in the home of our very own Mr. Garvey. They had befriended already during Mr. Garvey's many trips to Belize, but during his treatment in New York, where he stayed with Mr. Garvey for several weeks, he was so moved and so inspired by the audacity of the UNIA and the Marcus Garvey to dream that he decided to include the UNIA in his will. So that upon his death, nearly 2/3 of his entire fortune would go to the Universal Negro Improvement for, quote, African redemption. This was the first major endowment given to the association. At the 1922 International Convention, Mortar was awarded a UNIA knighthood and the title Knight Commander Distinguished Service Order of Ethiopia for his faithful and distinguished service to the Negro race. Well, our brother joined the ancestors in April of 1924. We honored him as a man, as an African, and as a Garvier. But meanwhile, as we were still processing the loss of our brother, there was a legal battle waged against the UNIA by the courts both here and in Belize, which again was still under British colonial rule. They knew that an organization like the UNIA inheriting such wealth and using it to uplift the race and the continent of Africa would shift the power dynamics of the status quo. Marcus Garvey made several trips to Belize, but unfortunately failed to collect the bequest from Isaiah Mortar because, according to the British courts, African redemption was deemed an illegal purpose. And this power struggle has ebbed and flowed, peaked and valleyed for 100 years now. Our brother, Third Assistant President General L. Emerson Guild, has been on the front lines in Belize for years, fighting for the UNIA because he knows that this is a crucial victory for black people all over the world. This is what's at stake. According to Brother Guild, our research shows 3 patches of land totaling some 500 acres in the Liberty Hall property. And we need to lay claim to the remaining pieces of the Isaiah Mortar estate. Doing that requires more land and legal research and surveys to more precisely identify the properties. Isaiah Mortar believed in the UNIA when no other wealthy black industry titan did, at least to the extent that they would endow us so generously. Now, let's pause for a moment. Most of you are like me. You've experienced the loss of a loved one. Someone who believed in you when it wasn't the most popular thing to do, and not just with words. They put their money where their mouth is. They invested in you because they knew that even if they weren't around, your vision was important and was worth supporting. So, and this may even relate to some of you personally, if your loved one left you something to help you with your dreams and the courts were standing in your way, you would never give up. Why not? I mean, in the time spent going back and forth in court, you could probably make that money yourself, right? Maybe, but it's not just about the money though, is it? It's more than a numbers thing. It's more than dollars and cents, right? There's almost a spiritual essence to the faith between family members. Certainly you want the assets because they have a certain market value. You're not naive. But what you're fighting for is the intrinsic value of a thing that represents the love and faith given to you by someone that you care about, who cared about you, and who believed in you when no one else did. Well, this is where the UNIA is.